Hey everybody, welcome to the board of the Bantu. The Bantu. And I just want to say new things all the time. And I might probably repeat them here on Patreon, and then I'll repeat them again on YouTube. So, if you're watching a YouTube video over there, forgive a bitch because you would have heard it first. So somebody said to me that all Africans ought to unite. The Bantus, the Nilots, the Creoles, the Arabs, we all ought to unite because, our weakness is lack of unity, and we are one people. Anyway, whatever. And I was highly offended because my identity as a Bantu is the only thing I have, right? And she said, this is why the Chinese are taking over that continent. And here's the thing. Here is the thing, okay? In 1600 or 1540 something, Southern Africa was inundated with white people. They loved our weather because Southern Africa is pretty cold. Okay, we do have hot months, but it's pretty cold. In South Africa, in some parts of it, it snows. Not every year, not on a regular basis, but it snows. Okay, people in Zimbabwe, which is even higher than South Africa, one particular winter, 7 people died of the cold. And let me tell you, when you live in that part of the world, waking up in the morning during winter, which is May, June, July, to go to the bathroom is a death sentence because it's so fucking cold. You will hold on to whatever it is that you need to do. So they came, they saw, they conquered. Okay? They conquered. And then they enslaved us. So many stories of slavery where they called, you're working for your taxes. Your free labor is you paying for your taxes. Okay? That's what they said. Your free labor is you working for your taxes. And then they would snatch all the able-bodied young men in villages, put them in chains, and take them out to build their beautiful dream. Okay? But there were warriors even then who brought these colonizers to their knees. Chaka Zulu, Bantu. Nehanda, a witch doctor in what is now called Zimbabwe, Bantu. Zingambande, Angola, the queen of Angola, and very young at that too, brought them to their knees. Okay, with nothing but spears and knob carries and shields, of which I proudly have one. Roll on the years, roll on the years, roll on the years. Nelson Mandela, Robert Mugabe, as much as I don't like him. Samora Machel of Mozambique. The other dude from Namibia whose name has just escaped me, but these people put their lives on the line. I remember Robert Mugabe said, when he said, let's fight this white man. And people said, with what? They've got guns and they've got the military and they've got everything. And he said, with knives. That right there is the strength of the Bantu. The strength of the Bantu. And so, we're good as the Bantu, okay? The Bantu, the biggest landowners in Africa. The warriors when they have to be. This is their board. And today we're going to do Tina Turner, Tina Turner, Tina Turner, Tina Turner, Tina Turner. So I got all these comments on Instagram about how people are no longer believing that Tina Turner is a battered woman or was a battered woman and that Ike beat her, and that his daughters are constantly calling Tina a liar. And then, of course, we heard Tina is very cruel from other, sources. And I said, oh my goodness, I've never read Tina. I've always totally believed in her story. I watched What's Love Got to Do It 1,000 times. I watched Tina tear up. I watched Tina fall apart. Just remembering the abuse Ike put her through. And even as a kid, I could see it. But you know what? I could have been lying to myself. I could have been going with the mood. I could have been going with what she was saying and not looking at it. So right here, right now, today, we're going to check out, was Tina abused by Ike? Really? Yes. So we're going to question Tina. We're going to put Tina right there, in front of us, the Bantu. Alrighty, so let's do that. Let me blow. I'm probably also going to use water. I really am afraid of reading in water because I see too much and then I feel spooked out. Air is so much easier. When I'm reading shells, I'm actually reading air, and air is easier for my soul. It's not so intense, but I am going to try to use water more and more because my ancestors want me to graduate to water permanently. And so I'm looking at the water right now and I'm seeing a scene of Tina Turner and Ike. And I'm just like, ugh. It's too much. It's too much for my soul, but we're getting there. Anyway, here we go. Was Tina a battered woman? Let's find out. Okay, let's find out in this very relaxed mood that I'm in. Okay, I'm going to call Tina. And then, of course, I'm going to call Ike. Yes, I am. I'm going to pull him from the grave. Because, he has to be here to defend himself, right? Tina. So Tina walks into the plate and also eventually comes to stand in front of me. She staggers as she walks in from the southeast. Yeah, she's right here. And she's walking to me, right? And she's standing there and she's stumbling and staggering. Tina is very ill. Tina is on her last legs and she is extremely ill, and it was caused by alcohol. Alcohol. That's what she's saying. Nowadays, it's like when I call somebody, I actually see them behind my camera talking to me. Yeah, it's also a sensation I'm getting used to. So I have to invite them into the waiting room after they come. But Tina did something really odd and it's really interesting. She went into the waiting room and she's also standing right here in front of me. This is a very tiny lady. She's very short. She's very tiny. And she says, I'm not beautiful. Okay, I did, she says, I'm not beautiful. Okay, she says, it's just the makeup. And she is complimenting me. She thinks I'm very beautiful and I am thanking her. Then she says to me, I'm dying. Can you see that I'm dying? And I'm saying to her, I can't see that you're dying, Tina. I do not want to see that you are dying. And she said, but you can see it. I drank too much. I never got over my life. This is a very, very sad soul. A soul that has been looking for happiness everywhere. She said, my son died. He killed himself because of me. How do you figure? I wasn't a good mother to him. I wasn't there. I buried myself in my own pain and I forgot his pain. We have depression running through us. All of us who lived with Ike. We have depression in our veins. And I was so busy trying to survive, so busy trying to provide, and so busy trying to find happiness. I neglected my children. My biggest regret as I go to God is that I neglected my children. Now, the Tina who is talking is right in front of me. The Tina who is in my ancestors' waiting room is quiet. I don't know why she split into two. Why have you split into two? She says because she has two personalities. And she's always split herself into two. She's a performer. When she performs, she's something else. When she is herself, she is herself. So I'm asking her which one is which, and she says the one that's standing in front of you talking to you now is the performer. The one that's in the plate is me. So the one that's in the plate, my ancestors' waiting room, she's very, very quiet. No confidence whatsoever. Very dark, very bitter. She waited for the sun to rise and the sun never did. Very bitter, very much in love. Now wait with Ike. The one in the plate, very much in love with Ike. Regrets leaving him sometimes, thinks she could have helped him, they could have worked through it. Then she says, but nope, I was a battered woman, I couldn't stay. I'm concentrating on the one in the waiting room. Now I'm going to ask the performer, Tina, to walk into the waiting room and be with her, the other half of her energy. Can you please do that? Can you please walk into my ancestors' waiting room? She says, sure I can. And then she starts singing. She's a private dancer. She dances all for money. In other words, I take orders. I understand what I'm supposed to do, and I do what I have to do. So Tina is walking, but she's actually dancing, and as she goes into the plate, she's wearing like a sequined feathered outfit, and she's shaking and dancing, showing that this is truly the performer. And the other Tina is just sitting there very, very quiet and watching her. So I'm going to wait for them to merge as one, because obviously Tina in the plate, she ain't saying shit. She ain't saying much. We are drawing feelings and emotions out of her. So much pain, you guys. So many tears. The one in the plate says, I'm ready to go. The one who is now merging with her says, I'm not ready. I still want my sunshine. So we have Tina now amalgamated as one. This has never happened to me before. Okay, this has never happened to me before. We have Tina amalgamated as one soul now in the plate. And now she is more aggressive. She is putting on a show. I almost wish I'd left the show outside. She's putting on a show. She said, not really, not much. I'm exhausted. But, I can't talk if I'm not one. Okay. So Tina nursed a love for Ike that she's now saying was based on abuse. She said, at least I used to feel something. I used to feel something. I used to feel heightened emotions. And after, when I walked, everything was flat. And then the only emotions I was really, 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 really feeling were anxiety. So she said, I was in his hands for too long. Too long. So now, I'm going to wake up Ike. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to shake him up and wake him up. Ike Turner. Ike Turner. Ike Turner. Ike Turner. I don't know where I dragged Ike Turner from. I don't know. Okay, he is filthy. He came in from, Tina came from the southeast. He came from the southwest. He is filthy. He says, I know I'm filthy. I lived a filthy life. Doesn't it make sense that I am living in filth? He is filthy. Oh my God. Oh my God. I feel like washing him with water. Oh, Grandma said, stop it. Okay. So this Ike came as a very old man. I guess the way he transcended, is the way he's standing here. He did not, slip into, he came the normal, natural way. He's standing in front of me, right? He says, I wasn't a good man. I was fucking evil, and people make excuses for me because they want to. People make excuses for people like me, and that's why we do what we do. I ran bitches. No, I literally ran them. I ran them on the streets. People were thinking that I was making a lot of my money in music, but no, there are other ways of making money. Yes, we noticed that when we get to hip hop artists, we're gonna get there. He says, "Oh yes, I know you noticed it. I had bitches. I was a pimp, and at one time I even pimped Tina. Do you know what it feels like for a bitch you pimped to make more money than you and to be more successful than you?" I was a very bitter man. I went bitter. I was in that prison, boiling, wanting to kill her because I owned her. I owned everything about her. I pimped her out. She doesn't tell people that. She walked the streets for me. They all did. When we needed money, where do you think we were going to get it from? And then she goes, and she becomes a fucking icon. That's fucked up. I have no excuses for the way I lived my life. I lived it. I did what I had to do. And now everyone is still talking about me. I may not have risen to the great heights of Tina. And you know what? I put her there. I trained her. I taught her how to sing. I used to teach her how to sing after sex. That's not what she's telling you. I fucked her the first night I met her. That's not what she tells people. Then I pimped her out. That's her trauma. And then I taught her how to sing. When I was fucking her, I was teaching her how to sing. I made her what she is. I made Tina. Then she wanted to have a baby very quickly, getting pregnant and shit. That girl was green. That girl was from a fucking bag of beyond. I changed all that. I changed it. I turned her into a lady. She was filthy with a smell. I turned her into a lady. Turned into a lady. It's only just and right that people should give me my place. I own this bitch, just as I owned them all. So, ladies and gentlemen, Ike, in all his filth. Okay, so Ike, please feel free to walk into our room of light. He says he can't. Why not? He says he's not allowed and he won't let him. So we're going to have a discussion with Ike standing behind my camera and Tina on the board. This is very exciting, at least for me. Okay, so Tina, show me your life. Tina, show me your life. Oh, Grandma said, ask her, tell me about Ike. Tina, tell me about Ike. There was so much violence in this relationship. Tina, tell me about Ike. Tina, tell me about Ike. Tell me about Ike, Tina. Tell me about Ike. Okay, and Tina has gone straight to the point. Straight to the point. Okay, so this is Tina. And this is her man right here. Her husband. This is her husband. Tina and her husband are extremely close. He is extremely controlling of everything to do with her life, and she is extremely happy about it. He is extremely protective of her. He would fight anyone and anything to keep her safe. She hides behind him. I don't know his name. Let's see. What is his name? Tina Turner's husband. I know he's German. Erwin Bach. Erwin Bach. Yes, Erwin Bach is in control of Tina's life. Okay, he is an extremely wealthy man who keeps it quiet, like most people who inherited their wealth. And he lets her shine. He is the wind beneath her, her wings. And he totally is about Tina. However, of course, he seems to have a relationship with another woman, but then who doesn't. And I guess Tina can't put out anymore. She is really old. And he handles all of Tina's finances, all of Tina's bookings, all of Tina's everything. And he protects and he takes care. And she has no idea and hasn't had an idea of her money for years. So basically, she fell in love with a man who reminded her of Ike without the violence. And this is Ike. He is gone, so he is obviously to the right. He is gone, and he was a man who brought down a lot of women and is very proud of it. Because what we are seeing here is women that he brought down, beautiful women. He used to dehumanize them, brutalize them, remake them, reshape them. Okay, I don't know if that makes sense. But where he is right now is where he is. We'll not discuss that because there's no point. He's standing there in total blackness. Okay. Tina. Her fame and her life was never separated from Ike. And yet, that's what she desperately wanted. She desperately wanted this story to be forgotten. And she desperately wanted her past to be forgotten. And she is saying, people never forget. He is saying, why should they forget? Those were some good times. Okay. There is an incident of Ike beating Tina, and it's not from the movie. He beat her in front of a bunch of people. Maybe like there was a party. That's what we're seeing. There was a party, and she was very young, like I don't know, 16, 17, and he ripped off her wig and he beat her in front of people, and people were trying to stop him. Hey, I don't. Hey. And she was a little chunkier than she eventually became, and then her dress went up, or she was on the ground, writhing on the ground while he was pulling at her hair and punching her face, and he was like, when you hoist your leg up over a woman, like, she's, he's like, I don't know how to explain it, it's too much. Okay, he's got one of his, she's between his legs, and he's holding her by the hair, her real hair, because he pulled off her wig, and he's punching her, and he's calling her names, bitch, bitch, whatever. And he's punching her, and she is crying, and she's begging him. She's saying she's sorry, and her underwear and everything can be seen, and people are trying to pull him off her, and he is saying, bitch must learn, she will respect me. So when he's finally removed from her, he's walking around really angry, yelling and screaming about how she will respect him, that he's the man, and she will respect him and do as she is told. These were band members. This was like a band members either get together or rehearsal or something like that. I don't know. Never been in music, but this was like a thing, because they were there. The Ikettes and the other band members were there. It was the male band members who pulled him away, and then she was helped by the other females, and then she got up, and then they walked her out of the room, and she was crying. Then we're moving on and on and on and on to the night of this thing. We're moving on to he comes to her, and he tells her he's sorry, and he gives her like flowers, and he tells her that she's the most beautiful thing, and that she's his baby, and that him and her, they're gonna take it all the way to the top. He was very jealous of her singing talent, by the way, extremely jealous. He was jealous of the way people adored her, and the way people just gravitated towards her. He was very jealous of it. So he's telling her that, I love you so much, and then now I'm watching them have sex, and she is crying during the sex. She doesn't want to have sex, but she's used to having this kind of sex with him. She's used to it. I mean, she is, 16, 17, and she's already used to it. And this, around that time, is when she gets pregnant, because even as he's having sex with her, she's thinking that she might be pregnant, and she is thinking that maybe this beating killed the baby, and she'll be, it'll be a relief, because she's like, what am I gonna do? But it's not even registering in her to leave, because Tina was raised in an abusive environment. She was beaten all her life by her grandmother and the cousins and the men who used to walk in and out. She was brutalized all her life. So he is having sex with her, like he's literally on top of her. I mean, good God. It's the things I don't like to see. He's literally on top of her, and he is, going and she is saying to herself, this is how it is. This is life. This is how it is. Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And she's completely penniless. Completely penniless. And Ike was standing behind my camera and said, yes, so what? Bitches ought to know their place. So her experiences have caused her heartache all her life, and it's the baggage. She carried it into her relationship with Erwin, and Erwin had to deal with that baggage. He had to deal with it, right? And this actually isn't a good marriage. The Tina and Erwin marriage isn't a good one. She was never quite in it. Ike was always a third party. He broke her spirit. He broke an essential part of her soul. It does show, however, that she took from Ike. It's like what is said constantly is I left with just my name, with nothing, but the board of the Bantu says no, she did take. It took a long time for her to get from Ike. It took a long time for her. It wasn't just like, nah, right? It took a long time for her. But Erwin pulled assets and money for Tina from Ike. Her writing, her songs. She used to write her songs, her writing, and her royalties. Ike paid her. It took years, but Ike paid her. He paid her. He paid her a huge chunk of money. He paid her. Now, here's the interesting part. I'm finding this extremely interesting. When they broke up, Ike thought Tina was going to come back for him. They were still fucking even after she left him. Still talking. She was still giving it to him. He says, yes, we continued our relationship. So I really thought I'll let him do the talking. Yes, we continued our relationship. So I really thought, you see, he's talking to me right now, and his shell, when it fell, is looking right at me. This is so cool. The shell is looking right at me, and that's because he is talking to me. I've begun to notice that about some of my clients too, just because he's talking to me. He says he and Tina carried on behind the scenes. He says she was dependent on me, always dependent on me, no matter what. I don't care what kind of man came into her life, she was dependent on me. So he really believes that when she became famous, they had a plan that, he had a plan. He had a plan that when she really became famous, they would reunite and become even more famous. And he said, then the bitch played me. She played me. And he's laughing. And he's saying, I gotta hand it to her though. She played me. She discovered that white people are the builders. And she threw herself in with white people, and she stayed with white people. She played me. Oh yeah, we men know. He means black men. We know. We're about using our women and making sure they get shit out of it. We're about using them and making sure they get nothing. She worked the game. She realized that being over here with us, she'll get nothing. So she ran to the white people, started playing music with white people, never came to ask us for anything. By the way, Tina is all quiet here. Literally, Erwin is the one talking, and I didn't even call him. Erwin is talking, and Ike is talking, but Tina is quiet. She says, what can I say? I had a heartbreaking life. She's not talking. So they carried on. These two people. It wasn't a wham bam, you beat me. That makes sense. That actually makes sense. Nobody ever, yeah, that makes sense. So I could go on. All I'm seeing is brutalization after brutalization after brutalization. The Bantu can happily rest their case and say that Tina, we're seeing Tina prostituting herself on the streets. Oh my God, why did... She is walking the streets wearing such a short little dress that, if she walks a certain way, her panties flash and her panties flash. And men are picking her up. And as we are seeing it, she's screaming. She's saying, don't tell them, no, don't tell them. And men are picking her up, and she's getting into the car. We're seeing her having lots of sex in cars. This is after she'd given birth to her child with Ike. We're seeing her legs up in those old cars and, having sex, and she's like blanked out. She's never had an orgasm, this woman. Never. She's like blanked out. She said sex is something that you give men. I don't think God made it for women. So she's like, and she's wearing those heels, and these men are doing their pumping business, and sometimes they would be the car that we are in. They are like four males. Then what would you do with the money? He said, I gave it to Ike. We all gave it to Ike. How long did you do that for? He said, years. Yes. Okay. Tina was born with a star on her forehead. So was Ike. Hers was greater. There was a lot of jealousy, envy, and hatred in Ike for Tina, and so he debased her as much as he could. As I hold these shells in the hand, he says, she was too proud. I had to break her. You know what I didn't realize? I didn't realize that I actually broke her. I did it, but I didn't realize it because she has such a great mask. She has such a great mask. I had to break her. And Tina is saying, some things that happen to you, you can never get over in life. Okay. So now, let us go to Ike Turner's daughter, the one. I didn't watch the latest one. I watched just the old ones. There was an Ike Turner. Yes, one of Ike Turner's daughters. She was Twana. She was curling her face about Tina. She was curling her face about Tina, and she wasn't being nice. And my ancestor said, this woman is bitter. She is bitter because Tina got rich and not her daddy. My ancestors stopped there. So now I'm going to call Twana. Yes, because Twana was curling her. Yeah, Twana was being Twana. Okay. Twana. It's the weirdest thing. Like, people never used to come through the Southeast until I read a client with the most beautiful soul. She kind of opened the door for the Southeast. Since then, I've been getting people coming from the Southeast. Twana is here. And Twana is, her soul at least, is hugging the soul of her father. Twana really loved this man. Okay, she really loved him because I wouldn't touch that. Oh my God. Okay, love is love. Okay, so Twana is hugging her father. There was an incestuous relationship between Twana and her father. Ha! I can't put Ike in the plate, so it's just I'm gonna have to ask Twana. I'm gonna take Tina out of the plate. Bye, Tina. Bye, Tina. Bye, Tina. Bye, Tina. I'm gonna call Twana again. Oh my God. There was an incestuous relationship between father and daughter. I'm really hating my abilities right now. Okay, Twana, come into the plate. Twana, And Twana walks in and she's very reluctant. She slinks in. Twana is a snake. That's the word that comes to mind. She's a snake with so many secrets and just as much pain and agony. So she bites. She bites very softly. First, she wraps herself around you, and then she bites. Right? That's what she does. Okay? That's what she's about. That's what she is about. She bites. So anyway, Twana, she comes as very, very skinny and very, very dark. So she has come as a younger version of herself into the waiting room. That shows us that she has too much childhood trauma, too much pain, too much bewilderment, too much shock. She says she thought Ike, I'm just going to say it, was her lover rather than her dad. For a long time, she said that's what he made me believe. He didn't rape her. He seduced her. Oh. We did see that he did kids when he was standing there, and he's still standing there. He says, so what? I was done when I was a kid. We saw that, but we didn't think we'd have to pull that filth out too. But since she was 8, and they were lovers. She says she loves her daddy. When they did it, when they fucked, that was the closest she ever felt to him. But then when she turned 16, 17, he no longer wanted her. So she spent the rest of her life trying to be wanted by her daddy again. Some things are just too... This is why I don't read water. I'm going to read it one day. But because this is just... Situations like these become more vivid. They become more vivid as I'm looking into the water and I recoil, you know. She's crying. She says, Daddy didn't want me anymore because I was too old. He told me to go and find other boys. He said it taught me enough. There was like a pregnancy between her and her dad, and that's what stopped him from doing her. So Tina was like the other woman in this girl's life. She saw Tina as the other woman. She said the only time she ever saw her daddy was for that. You know. And when she was younger, he was very attentive. And he gave her money. And he spoiled her after that. After he molested her. Let's just, Anyway, this is going to be a quick one. Twana, show me your life with Tina and Ike. She said, fuck Tina. She was in my daddy's life draining him. And then she gave him nothing when he needed her. Show me your life, Twana. Show me your life. Oh. So these are losses that Twana suffered. One of them was actually withheld by God himself, but she could sing. The girl was gifted. She could sing like nobody's business. and it was stifled. So this is an interesting one. The girl grew up in plenty, and she is making a lot of money right now from her past. Her past as Ike Turner's daughter is giving her a lot of money. Here's the pregnancy that she had that is hidden. She doesn't want to think about it. She doesn't want to talk about it. She does have a family though, and she has built a life for herself, but she never suffered. Ike's money some of it did go to her when he was, she never suffered. She had a good financial life. I mean, she suffered, but finances were not her issue. So she's making money off Ike's memory. She's making money off talking about Ike. And Ike is asking her, so how you being, girl? Like he's yelling it out from where he was. And she is, I've been good. So all these documentaries and all these things that are done about Ike Turner, she's one of the recipients of the money. And she is living good. She says she's never suffered financially. And this is where I end. Because I'm just seeing them rolling on the couch. She's like 9. And they are rolling on the couch, and she's got her legs wrapped around him, and he's telling her what to do, and he's telling her he's breaking her in. Oh, good God. That she'll thank him. That she'll thank him because she'll know everything, and boys like girls who know everything. It's like 8, 9. Anyway, goodbye, Ike. And this is where I end the Tina Turner. The question that began this whole thing was, did Tina lie about being beaten? The board of the Bantu said no. Did she lie about walking away from Ike with nothing? The board of the Bantu says yes, she did. So thank you all. See you next week for another juicy reading. In between, I'll do the sports stars as well, because there was like a request for Steph Curry, and I shall do Steph Curry too. But this is better than being bored, okay? But this was more gruesome than I thought. Alrighty. See you all next week. Be good, be good, be good, be good, be good to yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. I need to do that for myself. Be kind to yourselves and be honest with yourself. Lately, I've had to sit on my honesty because I lie to myself a lot. Be honest with yourselves. And I'll see you next week. Bye.